because I have quite a lot of knowledge of the car. I think I've covered probably 4,000 kilometres or so since it was incepted. It's quite good because we can work through things methodically and quickly and get to a good place, faster. It's a new car for this year, and it's Ollie's second. I think he's done 2 rounds in it so far, and this is his 3rd round coming up at Oulton Park. So it's experience for him, but also for the team to understand the car better, because everything is new. We're not allowed to test at circuits we haven't yet raced at, and Pembrey is a perfect location to go testing, because obviously it doesn't then conflict with the rules. And we're here just to get some more understanding of what parts work, what parts don't, so that every time Ollie gets to a race meeting, he can get faster and faster and faster, and it clearly showed from Brands Hatch to Castle Combe. He took his first race win there.
There's generic elements that we're working on, general setup things we can try and adjust, even for my personal development as well, getting an understanding of changing various damper settings, what it does to the car, and what I should then expect to feel. So it's personal development for me. The team's put a lot of hard work into some things that they want to develop, which probably wouldn't be right for me to divulge, but it's all very interesting, and it's all going very well.
At the end of the day, the more miles you can do in the car, the better understanding you have with the car. You can turn up to that sort of warm-up or free practice 1 session at TCR UK, and as opposed to sort of learning the circuit, learning the car, understanding your setup and making loads and loads of changes, you've got your baseline, which you've understood from a test, and then you can make small adjustments for the weekend, so that you start off actually just getting on with it, as opposed to learning everything from scratch. And it means that come qualifying, you can put in a good performance, with utter confidence that you have the car underneath you, as opposed to still thinking, not sure if we're right yet.
I'd like to test the car as often as you can, but you have to be realistic with time constraints, budget, and obviously access to circuits. So no, this isn't something that we would do as a standard procedure between meetings. Something that's a brilliant opportunity to get to do, and so far I think is going to yield massive results.
So as you can see behind me right now, all the cars are on the grid. The one car that isn't on the grid is that of Andreas Bachmann, and we saw from that little competition we had, the simulator challenge, his car is being painted, not his actual road car, but a version of his car is being painted now by Ian, and it looks pretty amazing so far. I just had a look a few moments ago, and we'll try and bring you a little shot of it if we can. But on the grid here, a few changes from race number 1, because with race 1 there was a slight change there because of penalties. Actually, Derek Palmer has gone to the clerk of the course and to the stewards, and it's actually been reverted back. So although that's happened, he did get a 5-second grid penalty because of exceeding track limits. He finished 4th from race number 1. He was 2nd on track, but of course originally he was pushed all the way down there to the very, very back of the field. So he's 4th from race number 1. He starts 5th place. We'll have a little word with him. But as we move around, I'm going to try not to get anybody run over at the moment, because of course we are waiting for one more car to come onto the grid. But I'm going to quickly go and have a chat with, actually he's going to have a quick chat with Ollie, because Ollie had a penalty as well for creeping a little bit on the start line. Let's see if we can get in and have a quick word with him. It's going to be quite hard to get in at the moment because he's got his mesh down, and as I try and fire my way through, sorry Ollie, I'm just going to try and get in here, undo all the good work your team have done. So Ollie, I was just saying that you had that penalty from race number 1. Can you just talk us through it from your point of view?
Yeah, I crept at the start under the red light. I was stationary before they went out again, so it's not technically a jump start, but yeah, we crept a little bit. The lights were on for quite some time, and we're just holding it on the launch, on the handbrake. Realised I was creeping slightly, probably not more than a few inches, but technically we were creeping under red light, so unfortunately, yeah, get a bit of a penalty. Which
is a frustration from you, but where you're starting now, you're obviously quite far way back. You've got a long way to get up the grid, and championship-wise, you've got to push.
Definitely, yeah. Every race is all about getting as many points as we can. I think race 1 just reminded me of how difficult it is to overtake around here. So, yeah, this isn't going to be easy. You need to get the best start we can, try and get a couple of the guys off the line if we can. Yeah, it's 25 minutes, still quite a long race. So ideally, get the jump on Dan. Derek proved he's very fast in race 1. So these two guys, need to get these two guys out of the way as quick as we can, and then work on staying out of trouble and getting as far up as we can.
I'll let you focus, but good luck.
Thanks very much.
There you go, Ollie Taylor starting quite a long way back. You see he's got one more driver behind him. As we head a little bit further up here, Dan diagonally ahead. So this is going to be the one that Ollie is going to be gunning for straight away. If we head all the way forward here, Andreas has now joined the other cars. He's now on the grid as well. So Andreas is there, and he's looking very, very focused. I'll leave him to his thoughts at the moment, but Dan behind him, Andreas here. And as we move across, just have a quick look in here to Derek, who got that 4th place in race number 1. And that was incredible. This Alpha, we've not really seen it perform to this level, and it looks absolutely brilliant out there. Derek is going to be very, very confident of finishing way up the order as well, especially when you look who's ahead of him. Jessica Backman here on the left-hand side. Again, this is another driver who can produce some amazing things. And when you think that Jessica got a 2nd place just a couple of rounds ago, she's certainly got a podium in her. Stuart Lyons, don't take your eye off Stuart Lyons, because Stuart has proved he's got very, very good race pace. And Stuart, of course, will be gunning for the podium, for the 1st place if he can do. But Lewis Kent ahead here. We saw Lewis perform pretty well out on track, and the boy's quick. It's just whether he can keep that young head screwed on in this sort of heat, and whether he can get really used to this circuit that by his own admission he doesn't know very well. And then here, Ash Sutton, by a very, very well fought game in qualifying, he got pole position in this race as well. So Ash Sutton looking for a 2nd race win. Dan Lloyd, championship-wise, has got to keep himself ahead of Ollie Taylor. It's going to be a very, very interesting race. The grid is now clearing and we're getting ready. So Andy, over to you.
Yeah, thanks very much, Bryn. Well, race 1 was dramatic and very entertaining indeed. Ash Sutton may have taken the victory by 16.2 seconds, but the fighting behind was incredible. So just to confirm what Bryn was saying there were a few time penalties dished out towards the end of that first race. So there were initially 10-second penalties for Derek Palmer and Ollie Taylor for being out of position at the start. Now, we heard Ollie referring to this there. His penalty has stuck, but Derek's penalty has been rescinded. That put him back into 2nd place. However, he was also given a 5-second time penalty for exceeding the track limits. Now, that one did stick as well. So he saves 5 seconds, essentially. So instead of finishing down in about 7th, he finishes 4th. So the official result, Sutton from Lloyd, from Andreas Beckman, Derek Palmer, Lewis Kent, then Jessica, Stewart, Oliver Taylor and Tim Docker were on 9 finishes from race 1. The race 2 grid, 2nd fastest times from qualifying with the top 10 reversed. Ashley Sutton, as Bryn said, played the game pretty well. He got the 9th fastest, 2nd fastest time, which was good enough for 2nd on the grid for this race. But then with Carl Swift's demise, Carl unfortunately not able to get out for this race with the damage sustained in the first race accident. So Ash is promoted to pole position. I want to quickly say though that Carl Swift apparently has analysed the damage done in the accident. He said actually the shell is all right, it's just bolt-on bits and bobs out, on the outside of the shell that will need fixing back on. So actually not quite as expensive a repair bill as he might have thought. Not cheap, granted, but not quite as expensive as he thought. The Alfa Romeo, though, I think even to the untrained eye we can tell that one's going to need a reshell, and that's going to be a fairly extensive repair job. Right then, on to race 2 though. Here's how they line up. Ashley Sutton and Lewis Kent, Honda and Hyundai on the front row of the grid. Then Cupra and Golf on row 2. Stuart Lyons in the Maximum Motorsport prepared car ahead of Jessica Beckman, the lead driver in the West Coast Racing squad on this grid. Then it's Alfa Romeo making it 5 different makes of car in the top 5 with Andreas Beckman in the West Coast Racing Golf in 6th. Then Dan Lloyd, championship leader, 7th, with Ollie Taylor down in 8th. So Ollie's 2nd fastest lap time in qualifying was quicker than Dan's, annoyingly, for Ollie, which means that he has to start behind him. Tim Docker at the back of the grid will be looking to try and keep himself out of trouble, pick up a solid result from this one. Well, with Ash Sutton back on pole position, you wouldn't bet against him winning the race, but the real fight, in a way, is going to be the one between the likes of Ollie Taylor, Dan Lloyd and Derek Palmer. I think they were the 3 that provided most of the entertainment in race 1. You would imagine they're likely to do similar things in this one. Derek Palmer has the advantage in that he is starting 5th on the grid, whereas Dan Lloyd is 7th and Ollie Taylor is 8th. Ollie's first job, as Bryn was saying quite rightly, is to get ahead of Dan Lloyd at the start. If you get ahead of Dan Lloyd, then he'll be wanting to get ahead of Derek Palmer and try and get a couple of cars between himself and Dan to try and A, take some of the pressure off, and B, take some points back away from Dan, because of course Dan finished 2nd in race 1. Ollie in the end with the penalty applied was only 8th, so the gap has now gone back out to 103 points between them, so it's a big old gap now. Dan Lloyd can't win the championship here today, it's not mathematically possible, not anymore, but he can certainly make it very difficult for Ollie Taylor to claw back that amount of points going into the final weekends at Croft and Donington. So Ashley Sutton then in the Verizon Connect liveried car, the car traditionally driven by Finley Crocker, but business commitments meant that he was likely to miss this round at Oulton Park, so he elected to get a super sub in the car. Ashley Sutton, not a bad substitute driver, is he? He's gone out there, he's been quickest in every session that he's competed in this weekend, testing yesterday, free practice and qualifying this morning, won the first race from pole position twice, essentially, with two faultless starts in front-wheel drive machinery, something he's not that used to these days. Now he's on pole position again for our second slightly shortened race. It will be a 25-minute race, this one, again because of time constraints. We've got other races to try and fit in today, so 25 minutes will be the duration of our second TCR UK race of the day, our 10th round of 14 this year. I can't believe, I don't know where this season's going, we're already almost at the end of the year, just 5 races to go in the season. Ashley Sutton, Lewis Kent, the two youngest drivers on the grid, or two of the youngest drivers on the grid, share the front row as the revs rise and round number 10 of TCR UK gets underway. Now, away we go. Stuart Lyons goes nowhere. Derek Palmer gets another really good start, but it's going to be Sutton that leads down towards the first corner. Lewis Kent slots through to second place, and Jessica Beckman looking for third there, trying to get alongside Derek Palmer, and she will do it. So Jessica Beckman goes into third. Derek Palmer and Stuart Lyons side by side for fourth, and Stuart gets muscled out onto the grass right in front of Dan Lloyd. That nearly went wrong. Dan Lloyd is still in front of Ollie Taylor significantly, but they're battling away down towards Cascades on the grass there for Dan, but he decides just to take a step back, let the race come to him. 25 minutes is still ample time, he feels, to get to the front of the field. So it's Sutton from Kent, then a gap back to Jessica Beckman in third, Derek Palmer in fourth, all over though, going down the lakeside straight in towards Island Bend. Fifth place is Stuart Lyons, sixth place is Dan Lloyd, seventh for Ollie Taylor, and eighth for Andreas Beckman, who may have been late to the grid, but he's also a little bit late to the party here because he's not had a brilliant start, having started in front of both Dan Lloyd and Ollie Taylor. He's now behind them both, but it's all getting quite close here between Jessica Beckman. This fight for third place is where it's all going to be at in the early stages. Now this is where it's perilous for Dan Lloyd. He knows that if he just bides his time and doesn't receive any real pressure from behind, he can pick these cars off one by one, but he's got intense pressure from behind as Derek Palmer goes up the inside of Jessica for third. Oh, and that's a really nice move. Jessica's on the grass, that's a shame. He's going to rejoin just in front of Stuart Lyons. Oh, before contact between them. These two are not the best of friends after their Castle Coon comings together, and Jessica unfortunately is going to have to let them all through. I think she's going to try and get back in line ahead of Ollie, but I don't think she's going to be able to do it. Ollie Taylor up the inside up towards Druid's corner, so Derek Palmer goes up to third, Stuart Lyons fourth, appears to have got away without any damage there, with Dan Lloyd fifth and Ollie Taylor sixth, and Jessica Beckman unfortunately slips down to sixth place with her brother Andreas now all over her down towards Lodge corner. Into the braking zone they're about to go, so Dan Lloyd, that was a few hairy moments actually for Dan then, with cars clattering into each other in front of him. Through the tight right-hander to end the lap they go. Ashley Sutton leads the race in the opening lap by 2.7 seconds over Lewis Kent, who is 1.9 seconds ahead of Derek Palmer, who is 0.9 seconds ahead of this fight for fourth place. Stuart Lyons, Dan Lloyd and Ollie Taylor tied together by a very short piece of string. Stuart Lyons out wide onto the grass there. He'll be quite glad that this race is going to run at least closer to its full advertised distance, because the longer the race is, the better he feels his car becomes. But he's a bit late on the brakes there into Cascades, just skated a bit wide of the apex. Dan Lloyd therefore gets a better exit from the corner. He's not really going to be close enough from that 60 kilos of compensation weight, just hurting the acceleration of the Golf GTI TCR car, whereas the weightless Cupra is just able to get off the corner a bit better. Ollie Taylor is staying with them for the time being. He'll want to try and take advantage of the fact that Dan is being held up slightly by Stuart Lyons in front of him, and he'll want to make his move now before it's too late, because really if Dan gets some clean air, would suggest he's probably got the pace to pull away. Floppy markers go flying. That was Derek Palmer, I think, who was wiping it out down at the chicane. This, the fight for third place as they crest Hilltop back down towards Hislops, and it's Alpha from Cooper, from Golf, from Honda, and in a line. It's the Alpha just about hanging on for the time being. Derek Palmer, he was a bit robbed of a podium finish in race one, because he went fourth in the end. Can he get onto the podium this time around and really create this sensational fairy tale story of DPE Motorsport after the disastrous first race with Rob Gilmore's huge accident? It would be just what they needed to get a podium, or at least just a really good result, or pair of results for Derek Palmer today. Through Druids they go, back over the crest, underneath the bridge down towards Lodge corner. There's Kent sticking his headlights on. Interestingly, there's an no one really that close in front of him though. He was already 2.7 seconds behind Ash Sutton at the start of the lap, and as they come through to complete lap number 2, Ash Sutton does a 1:45.505 and is now 3.3 seconds clear of Lewis Kent, who's pulled out to 1.8, or sorry, has been caught flight by Derek Palmer. Derek was a tenth quicker than him that time round, so 1.8 seconds gap between second and third. Palmer is sort of bringing everybody else with him. Andreas Beckman, incidentally, I can see on the timing screen, has just come into the pit lane, so I'm not sure what's happened to the youngster there, but Andreas Beckman, who we saw was running in 7th place, and the car's going into the garage as well, so West Coast Racing, very rare that you see one of their cars hit mechanical troubles, but Andreas Beckman, unfortunately, well, he might not be out of the race, but he's certainly out of contention for the time being. He's going to need to get out of the pit lane quickly and then hope for a safety car. Fight for 3rd place, though, still raging on as they go through the Shell hairpin. Derek Palmer resisting the pressure for the time being for 3rd place. Stuart Lyons, though, running pretty well here in 4th, it must be said. We shouldn't be surprised about that, though. Stuart is a fairly experienced tin-top racer these days. As I said, does a lot of sprint racing, a lot of endurance racing in that car as well, really making sure that he's got the car sorted over a long run too, as well as being quick over a single lap to his lops. Really looking particularly racy at the moment. I think they're all just sort of sizing each other up. We didn't get much chance to do that in race 1. We didn't really have much in the way of tyre management in the first race either, because of course it was a much shorter race, just 15 minutes. The tyre wasn't really an issue this time around, though. It's even warmer out there. The track and ambient temperature have both shot up since race 1, even higher, and so it looks as though tyre wear might be a bit more of a factor this time. Still trying to figure out what the issue is here for Andreas Beckman. Bryn, I'm sure, will be on the case to try and find out what the latest is from down in the pit lane. Right, the lead gap we know is going to go up. What is going on for 2nd place, though? The second, well, actually, I say I know it's going to go up. The top 4 drivers, all lapping remarkably evenly matched, but Stuart Lyons has just set the fastest lap of the race in 4th position. He was a couple of tenths quicker than anybody else that time around. That is impressive, especially considering Dan Lloyd and Ollie Taylor behind him. They're not really holding each other up, they're not being held up by him, certainly. That's a genuine lap time, that from Stuart. He's on the grass now, coming out of Cascades, but pushing on. But the top 3 cars all did 1:45.5s, with Ashley Sutton being fractionally quicker than Lewis Kent, who was fractionally quicker than Derek Palmer, who was 2 tenths slower than Stuart Lyons. Also in the 45s, albeit a 45.6 was Dan Lloyd, 45.7 for Ollie Taylor, the only one really not to have improved that time around. Jessica Beckman is still 7th. Now remember, Jessica and Lewis Kent, who's running 2nd place at the moment, they are fighting for 4th place in the championship. Jessica comes into this race just 5 points ahead of Lewis. Well, if things finish as they are now, Lewis, who again flashes the headlights down into the braking zone at his lops, would move ahead into 4th place in the championship, and with Andreas's problems, they're both going to close in on him for 3rd in points as well. So it's all going to continue to tighten up in the points, albeit not necessarily for the outright championship, but for the positions behind them. Things are looking quite juicy going into the final couple of rounds, but of course we've still got 18.25 minutes left of this 10th round of the championship. Dan Lloyd moves his way through Druids, over the crest of the hill, back underneath the bridge. He's maybe a bit closer to Stuart Lyons this time than he was last time around. I reckon Dan Lloyd might be a bit quicker than the Cooper this time through. Get confirmation of the lap times this time through, and Matt Stewart, yes, not very quick off the corner. We don't need to watch the lap times because he made a real mess of Lodge corner there, and Dan Lloyd is all over him now. Dan Lloyd, yeah, was significantly quicker, but we saw where the time was really gained at the final turn. Stewart's a bit wide again from Old Hall corner. Needs to be careful not to run wide and get another track limits warning like he had in race 1. He leans on Dan Lloyd, who's sideways going through Denton's. Well, Stuart Lyons not making it easy for Dan, who I thought was maybe going to retaliate then down into Cascades, but there are certainly better places to try and show your frustration than one of the fastest corners on the track. And now Ollie Taylor sees a chance to start attacking his championship leaders. So Dan Lloyd, again, this is why these reverse grid races put Dan in a really precarious position. This is why the drivers are keen, and they know they're quick, to try and play the system and get themselves as good a grid position for both races as they can, so they don't get stuck in these midfield battles, because it only takes one false move, one little misstep, and all of a sudden your race could be over. So Dan Lloyd lucky to get away with that. Remember, he hasn't had a non-finish all year long so far. The same can't be said for many other drivers out on the grid. Dan's consistency, above all else, is what is allowing him to lead this championship so handsomely. Taylor himself, of course, had a DNF back at Dock Hill earlier on in the season, and that was a big dent in his championship hopes. He was having contact with Jessica Beckman, of course, and Ollie was kicking himself a bit after that one. He felt that it was his fault, but he'll bounce back from that with the new car, of course, the FK7 Civic from Brands Hatch onwards. He's been going really well in it. We saw Andreas Beckmann there. He was rejoining the track, but a couple of laps down now after his pit stop visit. And hopefully they're figuring out what the issue was. Hopefully we'll find out for you what the issue was as soon as we can too. Lyons though still holding on to this fourth place and taking the pressure off Derek Palmer, because Derek Palmer at the start of the lap was 1.2 seconds ahead of them and was only 1.4 seconds behind Lewis Kent. Well, this time around he's 1.5 seconds behind Lewis Kent and 1.2 seconds ahead of Stuart Lyons, so actually Palmer was the slower of that group that time through. So things reasonably calm out on the circuit. I think we can dare to take our eyes off it and check in with Bryn down in the pit lane.
Yeah, I've just spoken to James from West Coast Racing about Andreas Beckmann. Apparently they've got a gearbox problem with the car. They don't know exactly what's causing it and the reasons, but they dropped the car, they've sent it back out there just to give it a couple of laps to see what's going on. But Andreas actually took his belts off. He thought it was game, set and match. They had to put his belts back on and send it back out there. So it's just to see what's going on with the car. I expect them to come back in again in the next couple of laps.
Okay, but at least they can get the car sorted, of course, for the next time we'll be out, because these three West Coast Racing cars also compete in the Scandinavian TCR Championship. And of course, one of the big joys of TCR Racing, you take exactly the same car and race it in however many championships, 20-odd championships across Europe. So it's a great concept, and that is the idea of it. They're run by different drivers, driven by different drivers over in the Scandinavian Championship. Dan Lloyd, though, occasionally goes over and gives a bit of driver coaching as well. Better drivers to learn how to drive on these Golf GTI TCR cars than the man who's been doing amazing things with it all year long in TCR UK. Now Dan has not yet finished off the podium, and he's only running 5th now, and there are only 14.5 minutes to go, although that was, I think, oh, someone's off in a big way. Is that Derek Palmer? Oh, it is. It's Derek Palmer off at Druids. I think I see a white roof in there somewhere. Let's wait for confirmation, but I think that's the number 61 Alfa Romeo, and that is heartbreaking stuff for DPE Motorsport. Dan Lloyd and Stuart Lyons are now dicing away for 3rd place, but we have lost Derek Palmer up at Druids. I don't know what happened there, but Derek Palmer off in the tyre wall and seemingly out of the race. He's out of the car. He will be apoplectic with rage after that one. That was, well, was it a mechanical failure? It's a strange place to go off without some outside assistance, it has to be said. Anyway, the race is still going on the track, and Dan Lloyd's on the inside of Stuart Lyons, and there's contact between the two of them. Stuart Lyons sideways off into the gravel trap, and Dan Lloyd getting his elbows out, but Ollie Taylor alongside him now. The championship rivals side by side down the lakeside straight. Ollie Taylor on the outside line. Dares he turn in? Dan Lloyd's going to hold his line on the inside, and Ollie Taylor goes through. It has all changed here at Oulton Park. So Derek Palmer's gone. Stuart Lyons was 3rd, then Dan Lloyd was 3rd, and now Ollie Taylor is 3rd. But that, I'm sure there will be a discussion about post-race. Stuart Lyons does not take kindly to that sort of rough play, and Dan Lloyd, well, there was a gap on the inside, but they simply couldn't get side by side through the corner. So Ollie Taylor, what a turn up for the books this is. He's ahead of Dan Lloyd now in 3rd position. The question is, now they're both in clean air, can they catch Lewis Kent, who, remember, has a best finish this year of 3rd place back in race 1 at Brands Hatch? Can he get that? Well, let's see what happened first of all. So Dan Lloyd, actually a fair way back, goes up the inside, and, well, I've seen that exact thing happen several times in the past in Cascade. It's so tempting to go up the inside, but the gap is always likely to close, and, well, of course, it's slowed down up on the Exton corner. Stuart dragged himself out of the gravel. I wouldn't like to guess at what he's saying inside that car at that point, but then Ollie Taylor, I think Dan realised at this point, Ollie wants this position, and I do not need another bit of contact, so he just rolled off the throttle, let Ollie go through. But now we have a really different race on our hands, because Lewis Kent in 2nd place now has the 2 top drivers in the championship chasing him down, and they are, how far behind? 3.9 seconds back. But even with all of the shenanigans on that lap, Ollie Taylor was a couple of tenths quicker than Lewis Kent. So Ollie Taylor into 3rd position now. Can he get himself into 2nd? And even better for him, could he maybe get a car between himself and his big championship rival? Dan Lloyd on the grass now. It's been a really scrappy race this from Dan Lloyd. I made the point earlier on that he's not yet finished off the podium, and that will be the kind of thing that gets to Dan a little bit. I know he's got this big championship lead, but he wants to be racking up all the records. He wants all the trophies. He wants as many points as he can get. But he's just starting, for the first time all year really, to make a couple of little mistakes. So Ashley Sutton leads the race, only by 5.4 seconds actually, although he was over a second quicker than Lewis Kent on the previous lap. There is Ashley Sutton, makes his way over Hilltop in the Verizon Connect Civic. There is Lewis Kent, headlights still ablaze in second place. Really good pace this though from Lewis at this stage of the race, but can he hang on to this second position for another 11.5 minutes? Of course, if Ollie Taylor catches him, you would imagine Dan Lloyd won't be far back either, so that will reignite that particular battle. The Golf seems to have got away with its various little brushes in this race without any real damage, although I'm sure Dan will tell you that maybe the steering's been out, maybe the tracking's been out. It's always possible those little bits of side-to-side contact can damage the car. Ash Sutton hasn't had to worry about any contact so far this weekend because he's been out in front with a clear road in front and a near enough clear road behind him. Ollie Taylor, though, definitely getting away from Dan Lloyd here, isn't he? So I wonder whether Dan's maybe just sitting there and waiting for the race to come to him now, because he's probably thinking that Ollie might have the pace to catch Lewis, in which case Dan just needs to sort of stay near him and then try and take advantage when they do get together. Right, let's watch the gaps then. The lead gap will go out that time to the tune of 1.2 seconds. There's now 6.6 seconds between Sutton and Kent. Kent to Taylor comes down by 1.5 seconds. Ollie Taylor is 2.3 seconds back. At that rate, give him another lap and a half, he'll be right with Lewis Kent. Dan Lloyd was only a few tenths slower than Ollie Taylor, and there we caught a brief glimpse of Jessica Beckman running in 5th. Stuart Lyons is still going in 6th, by the way, and Tim Docker, with everyone else's woes, has now worked his way into 7th position as well, but those two are some way back. In fact, I think they both had a really slow lap last time around, did Lyons and Docker. I'm not entirely sure what that's all about. They had lap times that were some 40 seconds or so slower than they should have been, which seems strange. There is Stuart Lyons, he's back on speed now. Where's Tim Docker? Is he still running around in 7th? Contact between Dan Lloyd and Stuart Lyons to be investigated after the race. Now remember, Dan was given a penalty for contact with Ollie Taylor at the end of race 1 at Castle Combe, and it's not just that the position gets reversed, but there are championship implications, because you lose championship points if you get given a penalty because of driving standards, or contact anyway. So Dan on that occasion lost 15 championship points. He can little afford to lose any more than that. There is Tim Docker. So yeah, lap time's a bit quicker, but slightly strange lap times coming in from Stuart and Tim towards the tail end of the field. There goes Ash then. He was 6.6 seconds ahead of Lewis at the start of the lap, but is Ollie Taylor going to be able to get onto terms with the Hyundai by the end of the race? Dan Lloyd is already back onto terms with Ollie Taylor, so 3rd place is certainly not secure yet for the FK7 Civic driver. But are they both continuing to catch Lewis Kent, I wonder? Onto the brakes, into Lodge Corner. Turn their way in, Ollie Taylor. It's skitterish under braking there, runs a bit wide. He took a tight line in just in case Dan Lloyd decided to go up the inside. I think Ollie, on a few occasions this year, will say that he's left the door open a bit too wide, maybe, where Dan's concerned. It doesn't take much of an opportunity for Dan to come sliding through on the inside. He's not taking any risks this time, not taking any risks of letting the same thing happen again. The gaps, by the way, Lewis Kent dropped another 6 tenths that time around to Ollie Taylor, so 1.7 is the gap. Didn't come down by quite as much, but it wasn't a particularly strong lap by Ollie Taylor. Dan Lloyd was actually 4 tenths quicker than him, so Ollie Taylor is, yes, he's catching Lewis Kent, but by the time he gets there, Dan Lloyd will be right on his movement anyway, so he's going to be then the meat in the sandwich, isn't he, as he tries to attack Lewis and defend from Dan. Which is what he's having to do now as they head through the Shell hairpin. That's exactly what Lewis Kent wants to see in his mirrors, of course. If he sees those two falling over to behind him, then that will very much help his cause in holding on to this second position. As they go, the curbs again up the hill. Dan Lloyd really pushing hard. He wants this podium badly, not just because he knows that Ollie Taylor is his nearest championship rival, but just for the side of him, just to try and keep this remarkable streak. He'll finish on the podium in this race. He will have finished on the podium in each one of the first 10 races this season. There have only been 2 races so far, but there's not one. There has never yet been a weekend in TCR UK where Dan Lloyd hasn't won a race, but it looks increasingly likely that this weekend he's going to become the first of those weekends where he goes winless. But he's still looking at the championship situation, trying to beat Ollie Taylor, knowing that he's his nearest rival. Through as they go again, up towards Lodge Corner, and the gap between 2nd and 3rd is visually coming down now. Look at that, that was 1.7 seconds at the start of the lap. I would venture that's now less than a second between Lewis Kent and Ollie Taylor, and we're still going to have just over 7 minutes to go as they come through to complete their 10th lap of the race. Ashley Sutton's already been and gone, but there the Essex and Kent Motorsport squad cheer their lad on as Lewis Kent is now less than a second ahead of Ollie Taylor and Dan Lloyd. So 2nd, 3rd and 4th places getting closer and closer and closer as they work their way back down the avenue in towards Dentons and Cascades. Ollie, by the end of the lap, could be there with Lewis Kent. Now, Lewis's issue, one of his issues this year, has been tyre wear and tyre management. He tends to get to the end of the race, he just doesn't have enough tyre life left to really fight them. But because he's had a fairly quiet first half of the race, where he's not really had to overuse the tyres, he's not been fighting someone, he's not been desperately chasing or desperately defending from somebody, he's been able to just drive to a lap time, hopefully, and maybe they've been able to cure their tyre wear issues, because the car seems to have a decent pace at this stage of the race. I know he's been caught by Ollie and Dan, but they're the top two in the championship, so you can kind of expect that to be the case. If he's got any tyres left there, he's going to need them, because Ollie and an increasingly ragged Dan Lloyd are going to be with him by the end of this lap. Down the hill they go into the Islop chicane. The Seagulls fly to try and find themselves the prime viewing position for what is going to be a grandstand finish in this 10th round of the TCR UK Championship. Race win may well be going the way of Ashley Sutton. It's going to be a double race victory, but for second, third and fourth, it could go any way. There's David Cleal, Lewis's grandfather, watching on from the pit lane, and that is a nervous man if ever I saw one. He's already seen his lad get a podium finish back at Brands Hatch, but a second place would be the best of the year so far for the team that have such huge aspirations and such huge expectations from this championship, and they're just, you feel, on the brink of what they can really achieve. Out of Lodge they go though. Ollie Taylor is with him now. We've got just under 5.5 minutes to go, and this is going to be the drive of Lewis Kent's life if he's going to hang on to second place. You know there's no question of letting Ollie Taylor go just for an easy life. He will defend and defend and defend like his life depends on it. Dan Lloyd, I think, sensing this, has dropped back a bit. That last lap was a slow one from Dan. We saw him make a bit of a mistake at the chicane, but I think maybe there's an element here of just trying to stay out of trouble, really, not wanting to get too caught up in their fight. Just let them get on with it and see what he can do. Ollie Taylor flashing the lights. That's racing driver body language for "I'm quicker than you, get out of the way." Oh, well, Lewis Kent's not going to get out of the way, Ollie, and you know that very well indeed. He's going to have to try and make this stick himself, and he sends Sabrin on the grid. It's really hard to overtake here at Oulton Park, and Lewis Kent, especially if he's not going to make it easy for him, it's going to be a really tough customer to find a way through. But Ollie wants the points. Ollie needs the points, really, going into the final couple of rounds to keep this championship alive for as long as possible. And he'll ideally want to get Lewis slotted between himself and Dan. He won't want to sort of knock Lewis out of the way and then allow Dan through as well. Similarly, he won't want to get held up too much doing this, because then Dan will be right back on their tail. You can see Dan is closing in again now, and these three are going to be separated by virtually nothing, I reckon, by the time they come to completion of this 12th lap of the race. Dan Lloyd, of course, still with the shadow of that post-race investigation with contact between himself and Stuart Lives. That's going to be hanging over him for the remaining few minutes of the race. To get his thoughts post-race on that one, but Lewis Kent, his thoughts right now are all on fending off Ollie Taylor. He was sideways then, was Lewis, going through Druids, but Ollie, though, not really close enough down in towards Lodge. Headlights keep flashing on under braking for Lewis. There's some sort of an electrical glitch there, some of the wiring's not quite right, but as the heads through Lodge Corner, the race leader Ash Sutton already is on the corner. He's stretching the margin now. The lead gap is officially 7.9 seconds. Second to third is 0.4. Second to fourth is only just under a second and a half. So Lewis Kent, Ollie Taylor and Dan Lloyd getting themselves ever closer together with 3 minutes and 20 seconds on the clock. Ollie Taylor wants this second place, but Lewis Kent wants it equally as much. Ollie, not for the first time this weekend, on the grass running out of Cascades. Again, you've just got to be careful about that. He hasn't yet been warned for exceeding track limits. I'm surprised if the warning's on its way very shortly. Again, towards Shannon. That's part of the circuit where the Hyundai does seem to pull away, but then the Hyundai has always been good in a straight line, but then maybe lacks a little bit in the chassis through the corners, so it pulls away down the straight, but then you get to the technical part of the circuit at the far end, and the gap just starts to creep down and down and down between them. The British chicane hammering the curbs, no care for tyre life at this stage of the race. You've got what you've got now, really. We will have, I reckon, one more lap at the end of this one, maybe two, more than likely one more lap, as they work their way back through his lops again. Again, the headlights flashing on under braking there for Lewis Kent. And now he flicks them on properly going into the thick corner. Dan Lloyd just starting to become a bigger factor in this battle again now, but Lewis Kent driving well here. All of their lap times are slowing down now, though. They're all into the 47s, the low 1:47s, whereas Ash Sutton's in a mid 1:46, so he's still taking the better part of a second a lap out of these three. But he has no real need to push on that hard. He's got an 8-second lead. It's about 5 per second. Ollie Taylor again heads down towards Lodge Corner into the wheel tracks of the Hyundai i30 of Lewis Kent. FK7 Honda Civic Type R of Ollie Taylor in behind. Towards Old Hall they go. The gap is officially 0.4 of a second. They're like almost identically, only 1/1000th apart, because we do go on to the final lap of the race now. So Lewis Kent just has to hang on for one more lap of the Oulton Park International Circuit to get his best ever finish in TCR UK. Dan Lloyd only has one more lap of the Oulton Park Circuit to try and get himself on the podium. If not, it'll be the first race all year he's not been on the podium. And Ollie Taylor's wide on the grass coming out of Cascades. That's going to get dirt on his tyres. Now watch for Dan Lloyd to really try and take some big gains out of him coming through Island Bend, because Ollie won't be able to commit to the corner quite in the way he'd like to. Into the hairpin, and he steps out that Lewis Kent is looking reasonably secure here at the head of the field. Through the hairpin they go, down towards the Britain chicane, and Ollie Taylor not close enough at the moment to really panic the youngster, I don't think. There's another youngster, but a youngster who's already achieved great things in other forms of racing and now in TCR racing as well, with a double race victory on the cards on his debut. But Ollie Taylor still not giving up. Look, he's weaving around up the inside line towards the chicane. Lewis turns his way through the right, through the left, in towards the right-handed Knickerbrook. There are now just 2 corners standing between Lewis Kent and his best ever TCR finish at a circuit he never raced at until today. A remarkable performance it's been from Lewis in this race to back up the top 5 finish from race 1. Ashley Sutton, though, is making his way underneath the Oulton Park Bridge and down towards Lodge Corner for the final time. And the Verizon Connect Racing Honda Civic is going to take a double race victory in the hands of Ashley Sutton. He sees the checkered flag and he will win round number 10 of TCR UK. A fantastic flawless drive. Oh, and Ollie Taylor gets second place at the last corner. What happened there? He's found a way past Lewis Kent, and Ollie Taylor gets into second place on the last corner, and that was perfect for Ollie because there's a car between himself and Dan Lloyd. Lewis Kent hangs on to third and Dan Lloyd fourth. But what on earth happened in the final corner? The Essex and Kent Motorsport squad can't believe what they're seeing. Ollie Taylor nicks second place from Lewis Kent at the very last corner. Well, I hope there was no contact between the two of them when we cut to it. Lewis was on the grass, but how he got there, I don't know. Ollie Taylor drives up to congratulate his teammate Ash Sutton. It's a Pyro Motorsport 1-2, and that's the first one they've achieved all year long. So a great weekend for Pyro. A first race win for Ash Sutton in race 1 and a 1-2 for the team in race 2. But what went down at that final corner, I'd be fascinated to find out. We'll certainly hear from the drivers in the Parc Fermé with Bryn at the end of the race, but that was, hopefully we've got a replay of that, because that was really dramatic end to the race. I really thought Lewis had that sewn up, but of course, who knows what happened in the final couple of corners. Right, here we go. Oh, he was defending from Ollie and then just understeered off the road. Oh, Lewis, well, he will not be happy with that. He was defending the inside line. Clearly Ollie had a better run out of Druids, but you go in tight, you come out wide, and with the front tyres well past their best, he just understeered off the track, and Ollie Taylor was only too happy to take advantage. So thank you very much for guys in the truck for finding the replay there, because that was baffling me. I didn't quite realise what had happened, but Lewis Kent with the mistake. Oh, so close, but it is another podium finish. It's a third place finish to back up the third place from Brands Hatch last time out. Not last time out, time before last, excuse me. And Lewis Kent will move through, regardless, into fourth place in the championship, I think, because Jessica Beckman in fifth will score... yes, she'll score 9 points less than him, and she was only 5 in front. Right, confirmation of the result then. It is a victory for Ashley Sutton, and it is a Pyro Motorsport 1-2, with Ollie Taylor getting into second place at the very last corner. Lewis Kent is third, Dan Lloyd off the podium for the first time all year in fourth, Jessica Beckman is fifth, Stuart Lyons is sixth, Tim Docker is seventh, Andreas Beckman was eighth. He was classified as a finisher, but Derek Palmer sadly not classified with that off, but Druids, when he looked set for a podium finish, maybe even the season's best second place. Well, a dramatic end to what was another fascinating race. Again, Oulton Park, difficult to overtake. You're never likely to get that sort of 2 and 3 abreast slipstreaming action you get at some other circuits, but you can have great racing here, and Ollie Taylor with a really well measured drive there. It's not the win, but it's second place. Now for second place he will score 35 points, so he takes 10 points out of Dan Lloyd in that race. The gap that was 103 points is now down to 93 points. There are 91 points available at each round. So 182 points still on the cards. It's still all to play for, especially if Dan Lloyd were to have a bad weekend. It's definitely not over yet. So Ashley Sutton comes down into Parc Ferme. He is a double race winner here at Oulton Park. This is a really special moment for Ash, a really special moment for the series as well. I think this is a performance this weekend that has turned a lot of heads and garnered a lot of interest from the whole of the motorsport community. And Ashley Sutton with a dominant drive, but a really, really well-measured drive it was. A double race victory for Ash Sutton. And he is down in the assembly area along with Ollie Taylor and Lewis Kent. Our podium finishes. Ollie clambers out of the car. Pyro Motorsport 1-2. That was on the cards in race 1. It didn't quite come to reality, but in race 2 they managed to do it in dramatic fashion. Lewis Kent not yet got out of his car, I don't think. He's really going to be dejected with that result, I'm sure, but they are the highs and lows of motorsport. The highs with Ollie Taylor getting the second place, and the lows of Lewis Kent losing his best result of the year. Well, the drivers are down in Parc Ferme, so too is Bryn Lucas. Bryn, let's get their thoughts.
Yeah, here I am with the race winner, a rather sweaty looking Ash Sutton. So that's 2 races, 2 wins. It's been a pretty good weekend for you, a pretty good day actually, to be told. It feels like it's been a lot longer, doesn't it?
Yeah, obviously it's nice to actually have it all in one day, but from yesterday afternoon we've topped everything, and yeah, okay, we got gifted the second pole, but we've topped absolutely everything. So the car's been phenomenal. I've loved every second of it, and I want to do more.
It's nice when you win though, isn't it?
Yeah, for sure, obviously. the Pyro boys have done a mega job on the car, and Verizon Connect Racing, thanks for having me, that's all I'm going to say.
The only danger is, of course, to keep the sponsors happy, you need more screen time, so you've got to get back in the mix a bit more.
Yeah, I know, that's the only downside to it. Wouldn't mind coming through from the back either. It's, get stuck in a bit like Ollie did, and fair play to him to get second from where he was. Mega job to him.
Yeah. Well, you'll be able to watch it back and see what happened, because I bet you had no idea. You were 7-8 seconds ahead of everyone.
Yeah, obviously I had the boys on the radio keeping me up to date with what was going on, and yeah, so well done to him, and it's good for the team.
Well done to you mostly.
Thank you. Cheers.
There you go, race winner Ash Sutton. Ollie, let's get Ollie in here. Now, Ollie, I thought we were going to be talking to you about third place, but that move at the very, very end, I mean, you've made Lewis very unhappy, but that was an inspired move at the end, wasn't it?
Yeah, learnt my lesson a little bit from race 1 with Dan. And I knew neither of us had any of the tyres left, and Dan was obviously struggling with tyres as well. So I didn't have to worry about defending too hard. Just knew to keep the pressure on Lewis. The last lap board came out, and I thought, generally, you know what, I don't know where I'm going to make it happen. Just slowed it down extra going into Druids. Got a good drive out of Druids. Forced Lewis to go defensive, and I just knew with the tyres that he had left what was kind of going to be the outcome. Yeah, and he made it too tight, went out into the grass, and it was a drag to the line. I
think it's a slightly different version of Ollie Taylor we've seen today. Tenacious. You've always been a bit aggressive, but I think tenacious is something that we don't normally associate with you.
No, well, started from the farthest back we have so far this season. On a track which is really difficult to overtake, and learning that in the first race, it was always going to be quite difficult, so you had to just seize every chance that you could get. So I was helped, with Stuart and Dan having their coming together, but you just need to capitalise on any chance you get, really. And then Dan and I had a bit of a drag down to Ireland, and it was going to be the bravest went through, and yeah. So.
Well, the word brave, actually, when that happened, you saw Stuart and you saw Dan, but you kept your foot planted, and that's a lot of drivers would have eased off thinking, I don't know what's going to happen, but you kept that planted, and that's what got you ahead.
It was the only chance I think I was going to get Dan. So you couldn't hesitate. Just focus on your line. Don't really look at what they were doing, where they were going. And yeah, it's fortunate to be in the right place at the right time. But you've got to be there to capitalise on it. So once I got past Dan, I thought he was going to struggle to get past, and thought I was kind of not settling for third, but thought third places would be good points to keep Dan behind. And then I sort of said to the guys over the radio, second place is on here, and we actually, there was longer in the race left than I had to go. I thought we're not really closing on Lewis till the last two or three laps, kept the pressure on, and yeah, then forced him into a small mistake at the last corner. So you've got to take these chances.
It was very well done. Yeah. Congratulations.
Thanks very much.
There you go, Ollie Taylor second. Let's bring in our third place man. Actually, on the topic of Ollie, the bonus as well, getting a jump on Dan, having somebody in between. That somebody was Lewis. Lewis, now I don't want you to be disappointed. I imagine you will be, but that was one heck of a race. That's probably the best race we've seen from you from start to finish.
Yeah, we knew we just had to sit behind Ash and just follow him around. Did that for most of the racing, got to the last 2 or 3 laps and just saw Ollie and Dan catching quite quick. My tyres halfway through the race went off very, very much, so no, I didn't have a lot of steering, but no, I got to the last corner, tried to hold it on the apex, make Ollie go around the outside, but put my foot down. It's kind of like to wheel spin.
Well, I think watching you, and you were talking about tyres though, but I think that's the most composed we've seen. When you've got the likes of Ollie and Dan behind you and you keeping them ahead. I mean, yes, okay, Ollie got you on the last turn, but you kept them ahead, or you kept ahead of them for a very, very long period of time, and you didn't look like you were going to yield.
No, I like to think I'm quite good under pressure. So no, I saw Ollie and Dan. At the end of the day, all I think is they're two novice drivers. They're just two more people like me. So no, I did see them coming up, but I just thought to myself, it's all right. I kept on looking at the clock, thinking it's all right. You've only got 3 minutes left. It's fine. That's not that long to go. So, but no, really happy. I want to just really good day. Good points collecting for us, and hopefully it'll move us up the championship and move us along from there.
Well, go and get your second trophy this season. Well done.
Thank you very much.
There you go, Lewis Kent completing the top 3. What a race that was, and drama to the very, very end. It's time to hand over to Andy, who's going to talk us through the podium. So, Andy, what about that?
Well, that was a fantastic race, wasn't it? A really good race, and yeah, disappointment there for Lewis Kent, but it's still a podium result. Here is confirmation of the points. Then Sir Dan Lloyd takes a 93-point lead into the penultimate round of the championship at Croft over Ollie Taylor. Andreas Beckman is third, and there you see confirmation. Lewis Kent now fourth, ahead of Jessica Beckman. Stuart Lyons and Carl Swift, the two Maximum Motorsport teammates, are only a point apart. And in fact, look at that, it's really close, isn't it? You've got Stuart, Carl, and Derek all only a point apart. 6th, 7th and 8th in the championship. Howard Fuller and Darryl Wilson not here this weekend, but they're still inside the top 9 in the points. Well, Dan Lloyd then holding on to the championship lead, but that's only just over a weekend's worth of points in hand. Here are the highlights, though, from our second race of the day. It was a good start from Ash Sutton. It was a terrific start from Derek Palmer, though, to get himself into third place behind Sutton and Kent at the start. Jessica Beckman and Stuart Lyons briefly continued their squabble from Castle Combe last time out, as Ollie Taylor followed Dan Lloyd through the field. Dan caught Stuart Lyons, was attacking hard down the hill towards Cascade. They made a bit of contact. That wouldn't be the last time they made contact either. A couple of laps later, Dan went for the move up the inside. Stuart turned in, and the Cooper ended up spinning off the road. That delayed Dan Lloyd, though, and allowed Ollie Taylor to get alongside. And on the exit of Cascades and the run down the Lakeside Straight, the top 2 in the championship went door to door in true touring car fashion, with Ollie going around the outside into the fastest corner on the track to take the position. That would put him into third, and they then set about chasing after Lewis Kent, catching him with a few laps to go, but Lewis seemed to have an answer to all of the questions Ollie was asking him. There were no mistakes from the youngster until the very last corner of the race. Ollie, though, and Dan were both looking fairly ragged behind as they pushed to keep up with him, but a defensive move into the final corner would be Lewis's undoing. He understeered onto the grass, allowing Ollie Taylor to pip him to second place on the drag to the start-finish line. It was Ollie's teammate, though, Ash Sutton, that rounded out a dominant weekend in his debut in TCR UK, a double race victory and a Pyro Motorsport 1-2. The Essex and Kent Motorsport squad weren't too pleased, but it's still a second podium of the year for the small family-run team. It's always great to see that family-run teams really can go up against the big Pyros and West Coast Racings of the touring car world, and they can really go up there and take podiums, and who knows, maybe before the end of the year, fight for race wins as well. Well, it's been a lovely, if slightly blustery day here at Oulton Park, but I think that breeze has been much needed. It's been keeping the ambient temperature down just that little bit, and it's good to see so many people here supporting TCR UK at Oulton Park and enjoying some fabulous racing across all of the races today. But we are looking ahead now to our podium, our final TCR podium of the day, as the drivers work their way through the paddock. It's a bit of a walk here at Oulton Park to get to the podium, but there is Gemma Ratzing from TCR UK, ready and waiting to do the honours. And here we go, we've got our third place finisher, Lewis Kent, back on the podium again for the second time this year.
And second place, what a second place that was, Ollie Taylor! And the race winner, cast your minds back, the race winner some way ahead, Ash Sutton.
One of the real success stories in UK club racing in recent years. Close racing, value for money.
Well, there we go. Bryn Lucas doing the honours down at the podium, introducing the drivers up there. And Ash Sutton is a double race winner in his TCR UK debut. He's pretty happy with that. Ollie Taylor pretty happy with second. Lewis Kent third. And for the first time all year, there is no Dan Lloyd in sight up on the podium. Pyro winning the winning team, of course, a 1-2 finish for them. A representative from the team up there to take the team's trophy, and a really dominant performance this weekend from Pyro. Verizon Connect Racing, I beg your pardon, it was, who apparently have been given yes, of course it is, because although the car's being run by Pyro, it is a Verizon Connect racing team officially, because that is the lead sponsor of the team that Ash Sutton and formerly Finley Crocker have raced for. And now they will celebrate in style. The champagne corks come out, and Ash Sutton, well, now this is an interesting tactic from Ash. He's just wandering off into the sidelines, letting them use up all of their bubbly. Ash has done this before, you can tell. So Ash Sutton, a double race victor here at Oulton Park. The championship gets tighter, the racing gets more dramatic each time. What's going to happen next time out at Croft? Be sure to join us on the on the next round of the championship to find out what happens. Good afternoon, everybody. So the BMW Compact Cup cars are lining up on the grid ahead of their second 15-minute race of the day. The first one earlier on was won by Ian Jones.